that? Because they have some research constraints. So in order to satisfy all your preferences, it's possible that you need a lot of money, and a lot of time, and a lot of knowledge. And it's often the case that individuals don't have all of these resources to satisfy their preferences. So what do we see then? We see that despite these resource constraints, individuals will still try to maximize their utility, and depending on the person, or depending on personal favors or tastes, this can be a preference for money, for working conditions, for leisures, etc. So maybe as an example, what do we see in practice, or what do we know from academic research? We see that employees, when they are in the working space, they do not work from 9 to 5, but what do? We see that an employee, on average, spends between 1 and 3 hours on relaxing. So he thinks, okay, I don't need to work all day long, and what do? They spend between 1 and 3 hours on checking their Facebook, checking other personal social media, or surfing the web. And of course, this brings a lot, or this is really a big productivity loss for the firm. And the firm wants to install incentives or other systems that prevents the employee from following his own resources or from not willing to maximize his own utility. Now, what we also see in practice, individuals often work together in a team or in a firm because this has some advantages. And what are these advantages? The advantages of working in a team is that when you work together with 2 or 3 team members, you can produce more as compared to when you produce alone. So you can make more goods, more services as compared to when you are acting alone. And on top of that, when you are working in a group or in a firm, you can generate larger opportunities. So basically this means that you can generate some economies of scale when you're working together as compared to when you're working alone. Now, how can we define a firm then in that respect? We can see a firm as a cooperation of individuals. Now, as I just said, working in a team or team production clearly has some advantages. I named some of them here. So in a team you can produce more, you can generate economies of scale. However, team production or working in a team also has some disadvantages, or it generates organizational problems. And what do I mean here? We already discussed agents or employees will pursue their own self-interest when they're working for the firm, rather than the interests of the firm itself. And this is what we call the typical principal-agent problem or agency problems. But I'm sure that you guys already discussed that last year in the accounting course. Now, these agency problems typically bring along agency costs. And what are agency costs? Agency costs are a decline in the firm value resulting from the agent pursuing his own interest rather than the interest of the principal. So an example here can be, in practice we see that managers often do not dare to lay off employees that are quite unproductive or quite inefficient. What is the agency cost here? The agency cost here is the difference in firm value when these employees are still in the firm as compared to when these employees would be laid off by the manager. So when the manager does not want to lay off some employees that are unproductive, firm value will be lower as compared to when these employees leave the firm. And then you have this agency costs, so a decline in firm value. Now, these agency problems, you can typically divide them in four main or large categories. Namely, the free rider problem, the horizon problem, employee theft. Employee theft is actually the most severe agency problem that you can encounter. And then you also have empire building. Now, what are these, or how can we define these agency problems? Well, first of all, the free rider problem is something that you typically encounter in a group. So when you let group members work together, you often see that they have an incentive to not really put all of their efforts into in the group task, and that they have an incentive to shirk. Now, and the reason for doing so is that individual efforts, so when you have a group, individual team members' efforts are not always very distinguishable. So during my PhD, I did some research on this, and what do I see? If you have a group, imagine we have a group of 3 people. When these people are working together on one task, you see that they are not very cooperative when they are rewarded based on the same outcome. So what does this mean? If you have an incentive contract for these team members, we see that if everybody receives the same pay in the end of the task, group members have an incentive to underperform as compared to the other ones. What can be a solution here? If you have a group of 3 people, you can pay them or you can compensate them based on their individual efforts to the group result. And then you can see that the group members do have an incentive to put more effort in the task. So an incentive contract that is based on the group results, where everybody gets the same amount of pay, this really induces free riding, because everybody has an incentive to give paid, because in the end, you know, okay, if I put a lot of effort or I put not a lot of effort, I will get the same as the other group members. Whereas if you have an individual-based incentive contract, group members will be based on their own input to the group result, and then the manager or the supervisor can see, okay, person A submitted or did more effort as compared to the other, so we will give him a larger share of the bonus. Now, what is the horizon problem? The second problem, or the second type of agency problem, is when you have a manager who is expecting to leave the firm, for instance, because he will retire in a couple of years. We see that this agent will focus on short-term actions, because only the short-term actions that he will do will have an impact on his bonus. Whereas for the firm, it's often that the long-term consequences are more important. However, when the manager has an incentive to leave, or when he wants to leave the firm, he will not focus on long-term incentives, because in the long term, he will not be there anymore, and then it doesn't matter for him whether results at the long term are good or not. We will discuss an example in a minute. I have one on the next slide, but we first explain the other 2 agency problems. Now, what is employee theft? Employee theft is the most severe agency problem that you can encounter, and it also can have the largest negative value for the group. What is it? Employee theft, employees taking some products home for their own personal use. Of course, if this remains undetected, it's really very expensive for the firm, because some products are just leaving the firm without any benefits to the firm. And how can you avoid this? That's by buying fidelity bonds, by really monitoring your employees, and by making inventory control, so that you can check, for instance, each month, okay, we sold so many products, how many products should be there, how many products are still there, and if these numbers do not match, so if the number of products that should be there and the number of products that are still there aren't the same, you can be quite sure that you are a victim of employee theft. Now, what is empire building? Our last category of agency problems. That is when a manager seeks to hire a lot of employees to make sure that he remains his job security or compensation. And again, what is the solution to this? Again, we can try to develop appropriate incentive compensation schemes, contracts, benchmarking, etc. So comparing with other firms, what they do, and so on. Now here is a short example of one of the agency problems, namely a horizon problem. What's going on here? We have a divisional manager which is expecting to retire in 3 years. So in 3 years, this manager will leave the firm. How does the compensation look like? He has a fixed salary, and on top of that, he has a 5% bonus based on the business profits. And we assume here that he will only care about cash compensation. And what can this manager do? He can spend $100,000 on process improvements this year and the next year. So that's what we see here. He can spend $100,000 this year and $100,000 for the next year. And what will be the implication of this investment actually is that he will have cost savings of $150,000 for each of the following next years. So that's what we see here. Now my question to you is, what will this manager do? Will he invest in the process improvements or not? We know that he will leave in 3 years, so what's your expectation about what he will do?
He doesn't take the investment.
Sorry?
He doesn't take the investment
Why not?
because he's going to leave after 1 year. So he just received the first year, and the few years he actually already gone. So in the last 2 years he doesn't receive anything. So he doesn't want to lose his bonus.
And for the firm, what would be the best solution for the firm?
Just to change the bonus basis. To change the basis of bonus.
Correct. So what do we see? So for the firm, it would be beneficial to do the investment. Clearly, we have an investment of $100,000 in the first year and the second year. But when you look at the cost savings, these are quite big. Now this manager, however, will leave in 3 years. So what will he do? We will look at his bonus, or the effect on his bonus compensation. So we know that he has a fixed salary that remains the same. However, we also know that he gets 5% on divisional profits. That's what we see here. So if he invests $100,000 in the first year, this will have a negative impact on his bonus. So he will lose $5,000. In the next year, it will be the same. And only from the third year onwards, he will experience a positive effect on his bonus compensation. But in sum, after this, the manager will leave. So what's the sum of this? He loses $5,000 in the first 2 years, and he wins $7,500 in the third year. Okay, but overall, his bonus will decline, so he will not do it. So he will reject the project, whereas the firm, it would be beneficial for the firm to accept this project. So here we have a problem of a rising problem, actually. Whereby we see that the agent which is leaving the firm will focus on short-term consequences, whereas for the firm it would be better to focus on long-term consequences. And here, how can we define this? We define this as full incongruence, which means that the agents will maximize this utility, but this is not necessarily the utility of the principal or of the firm. Now, 2 types of agency problems have received specific names. These are adverse selection and moral hazard. What is adverse selection? You have this when an agent has an incentive to make a contract with another person, with the other party, which is actually beneficial for the agent and detrimental for the other trading partner, because the first agent has some hidden information or specific information that the other party does not have. So he has hidden information. What is an example here? Imagine a life insurance company. How can they experience adverse selection? Do you have an idea on that? If you think of a life insurance company. So before somebody signs a contract with a life insurance company, how does the life insurance company itself experiences adverse selection? So it's the life insurance company that is actually a victim of adverse selection. Somebody an idea? Yeah, so it's related to that. So what do we see? People that are willing to sign a contract with a life insurance company, they typically have more severe health problems as compared to an average person, but they will not tell it to the life insurance company before they set their rates. After the life insurance company sets its rates based on an average person, then an adverse group of people will sign in on the contract, and they will benefit from the contract, because normally the contract would be more expensive to them, but since that the life insurance company did not know that they were more ill as on average, they are cheap enough. Now, how can the life insurance company prevent this kind of problem? They can ask to each member to fill in a pre-medical questionnaire. So that's what you often need to do when you want to sign a contract with a life insurance company. They ask you some questions, whether you smoke, whether you were often sick, and these kinds of things. So that's how they try to